Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to my channel, to my bookland, and to our coffee times together. And in case you didn't watch my last video, I apologize because my air conditioning is running and I know it's a little bit loud, but it is the only way that I can cope with these really hot days. So please bear with me through the summer. And today I bring you some book releases from July 2019. So I put together a list for you with some options. I mean, I know there are many more out there, and there are a lot to talk about. So let's start.
It's coffee time!
So on the 2nd of July, actually, we have two releases that I am really interested about. The first one is called Lock the Door by Riley Sager, and this is a mystery thriller. So this year I did read a Riley Sager book and I really enjoyed it, and that's why I would like to give this one also a chance. So basically our main story here is about Jules, and she is in a bad situation right now. She is nearly homeless and she gets offered a job, which is basically to be the sitter of this luxurious apartment in this super fancy complex of apartments called the Bartholomew, where like rich people and famous people live. But when she goes in there to this apartment, she doesn't know that probably she's not gonna make it out. And it sounds like something I absolutely adore. I love when people get locked in places and they cannot figure out how to get out, or something happens and they cannot leave. I just love that. And apparently while she's there, she meets Ingrid, and Ingrid tells her that she's scared. She thinks there are ghosts there, and you know, she thinks there's something going on. And Jules tells her, don't worry, it's all in your head, whatever. But then Ingrid disappears. So now Jules is kind of questioning if what Ingrid was saying was true. Sounds super intriguing and definitely one that I would like to pick up. Then we have Pan's Labyrinth, The Labyrinth of the Fawn it's co-written by Guillermo del Toro and Cornelia Funk, which are both really good in their jobs. Guillermo basically in doing movies, but also he's really good with scripts, and Cornelia Funk is also really well-known writer, and I did love her books as well. I really love Inkheart, so I cannot wait to see what they have done with this cooperation. It is basically going to follow the story from the movie. If you have not watched Pan's Labyrinth, I would really recommend you to watch that movie. It is a hard movie to watch, so you have to watch it when you're in a good place, in a happy place, because the movie is really heartbreaking. It does have to do with the Spanish War and how cruel it was, and then we're following the story of Ophelia, who has in her mind this world of the Fae and gets, you know, in contact with this magical world, but is still really heartbreaking, and there are some interesting monsters in there as well. And this one is gonna come with illustrations, and I cannot wait to read this one. It's going to be a YA mystery horror kind of situation with some fantasy. So yeah, if you have not watched the movie, definitely recommend it to you. It's 100% one of the best movies I've ever seen. On the 9th of July, I found 8 interesting things that are coming out. So a lot of things coming out in this date. First, we have The Chain by Adrian McKinty, and this is a mystery thriller that sounded so good to me. Kind of original, kind of spooky, creepy, with children, and I need this. It's basically a story in which your kid gets kidnapped, and the people that kidnap your child tell you that if you don't want this child to be killed, you need to kidnap somebody else's kid. And this goes on and on in a chain. So I don't know, it just sounds super intriguing to me. I've never heard of something like this, and I really want to check it out. Then we have The Shortest Distance Between Love and Hate by Sandy Hall, and this is going to be a romantic comedy YA. I think this is going to be a little bit hate to love kind of romance, so I'm always down for that. So we're following this teenage girl. She starts a new school and she sees this guy that looks so perfect, and she kind of gets a little crush on him. But then her best friend reminds her that he's the guy that used to make their lives miserable in middle grade, so she still kind of holds grudges against him, but on the other hand she likes him. We will see what happens. Then we have a new fantasy that is going to start, and it's going to be called The Blood of Stars, and the first book is going to be Spin the Dawn. It is by Elizabeth Lim, and it is going to be a YA fantasy, and it sounds so unique that it's one that I'm definitely gonna try to grab. It's basically this girl that all she wants to do is to be a seamstress. She just wants to create clothing, but apparently in the world that she lives, that is a job for men. And so one day she takes a chance and she dresses up as a boy, and then she gets the job, and then she has to go through some challenges to prove that she's good enough, and of course at the same time she needs to hide the fact that she is a girl. Then we have The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman, and this is going to be a contemporary romance. This is one that I think I'm gonna truly enjoy. It is another one that promises to be kind of like a hate to love relationship. What I love about it is that our main protagonist, she loves books. She works in a bookstore and she doesn't want to have like contact with human beings. She just rather be in her books. Something we can relate to, right? And until one day the father she never knew existed dies, and then she realizes she has a lot of family that lives near her, and she starts to panic because she doesn't want to have to, you know, talk to them, strangers. And also on the other hand, her arch nemesis kind of appears in the picture as well, and she realizes she might like him more than she thought. So definitely a book that has all the elements that I like, you know, books, introverts, hate to love, so definitely hands down one that I have to get. Then I'm going to mention Maybe This Time by Casey West, a YA contemporary romance. Now I have read a couple of her books. It's not my favorite. It's just an okay read for me so far, but I just wanted to mention it here, you guys, in case that you are, you know, huge fans or really enjoy her books, so you know that there's one coming out in July. And I believe this is also going to be this kind of hate to love relationship. It seems like in July you're all getting a lot of hate to love relationships, and it's going to have the contrast of a girl that comes from a more regular family and a guy from a more wealthy family, so that is all I know. Then we have Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and this is going to be a YA mystery horror thriller, and everything I've read about this book, it's telling me that it's probably gonna be one of my favorite ones of 2019. I really hope so, because my hopes are really high for this one, because when I read the premise I'm like, yes, this for me. We're following the story basically in a school that it's on an island, and there is a kind of like a virus that spreads. It's called the tox, and the school is put into quarantine, and the teachers start to die because of this, and then the disease starts to spread amongst the students as well, that start to experience a lot of weird physical changes, and then they try, you know, to go out of the school and see if they can be rescued, any way of survival, but then everything has gone wild around them for all the time that they were in quarantine. So there's a lot of like a wilderness surrounding the school, and by what I've read, there is a disclaimer for a lot of things in this book, so be aware when you go into it that there is a lot of disclaimers. And also this is a book that includes LGBT characters, which is also something that I'm super excited about, because this is a YA horror thriller with LGBT characters, and the story sounds just so intriguing, and can you say I'm excited? I'm excited. Okay, I think this is one of the most expected releases that I have from this year for sure. Then we have The Storm Crow by Kaylin Josephson, and this is also going to be the #1 of a YA fantasy that it's coming. I don't know if it's a trilogy or a series, but this is the very first book, and I don't know much about it, to be honest. All I know is that it seems to be in a world where crows have a lot of meaning, and yeah, that's all I know, and the cover is stunning. Then we have Fractalistic by Gerardo Delgadillo, and this is a YA book, and I don't know if many people know about this book, but I thought the story was really interesting, so I decided to include it in this video. It is the story of a family that moves to Mexico, and the mother is really sick, and they decide to put her in some really controversial kind of medical treatments to see if she can be cured, but she ends up passing away. And then our main character and her dad decide to try this new program called Fractalistic that is supposed to let you connect with the spirit of the deceased. And so apparently they did connect, and they start getting a lot more secrets and dark kind of things from their past that they didn't know. On the 11th of July, I have 2 releases for you guys. We have Lily's Just Fine by Jilly Stewart, and this is going to be a YA contemporary romance. This is going to be a book that will touch mental health, so I don't know if the representation is going to be good or not, but it's definitely one of the things that made me have interest in this book. And it's going to follow the story of Lily, this girl that thinks she has everything, the perfect boyfriend, the perfect life. And on the other hand, we have Tom that has not had an easy life. His sister is heavily sick, and there's nothing they can do to help her. So since this is a contemporary romance, I'm guessing that Lily and Tom are gonna meet at some point, and they're going to connect, but we will see. Then I wanted to mention Alice Oseman's graphic novel Heartstopper Volume 2, which is an LGBT romance story, and I read the first graphic novel, the first volume, and absolutely loved it. Gave it 5 coffee mugs, and I was so desperate to read the second one. I know that this started as a like a fiction that you could read online, like she has everything online, and she started a Kickstarter to even publish her first volume for this graphic novel. But I didn't want to read it online. I wanted to get the physical copy of Volume 2. And actually Alice Oseman posted on Twitter that she was going to sign some copies for Waterstones, and yeah, let's say I ordered it from Waterstones to get a signed copy because I loved it so much. And to be honest, the international shipping was nearly as expensive as the book. But it's okay, you guys, it's okay, because I really wanted it and I cannot wait. I think I'm gonna reread the first one. If you guys love anything that has to do with the boy-boy relationship, and it's like cute, funny, sad sometimes, coming out stories, and this is really one of the cutest graphic novels I've ever read, and I was giggling and I was like living for the characters. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely pick this one up. On the 23rd of July, I have also 2 releases for you. We have Before I Disappear by Danielle Stinson, and this is going to be a YA fantasy. Somehow this premise reminded me of this new Netflix show called The Society. So basically we're following a family that decides to move to a whole new town to start a whole new life, but then all of a sudden the town disappears, and so do the people in it, including our main character's brother. But apparently there are only some teenagers left. So yeah, that's all I know, and it sounds super intriguing to me, and it sounds kind of similar to the premise of The Society, which I still have not watched, but definitely one of the books that really intrigued me when it comes to plot. So I hope this one is also not going to disappoint. Then we have How I Became Wicked by Alexander Yates, and this is going to be a YA sci-fi horror, and I love that combination. If you know me, if you've been following my channel or my other channel, you know I love science fiction combined with horror is something that I just absolutely love. So definitely a book that I want to check. So this is a little bit more of an intricate plot, but I want to let you know what the book is really about. So we basically have a plague that it's called Wicked, and basically it's dividing the population in 3 different groups. The first one is going to be the wicked that are already infected by these ultraviolet mosquito insects that are carrying the plague. We have the true, which are the ones that live contained in isolated communities, and then we have the vexed, which are the truly fortunate ones because they survived the sting of these mosquitoes and they are now immune. So when I read this, I was like, excuse me, can I have that book? This sounds so good and I cannot wait to read this. And this year still, I don't think I have read anything sci-fi, so at least I'm gonna combine sci-fi and horror. So I think I'm gonna have to pre-order this one because it's coming soon. On the 25th of July, we have Rose Interrupted by Patrice Lawrence, and this is going to be a YA. I like this book because it is about a cult, and I'm always really interested to hear stories about cults. It is about this girl who's 17 and her brother that is 13, and they escape a cult, and they have a lot of trouble adapting to the real world and how things work in real life because they have been kept from everything. So you're kind of going to be experiencing the world through their eyes as something totally new. So I'm super excited to see how they portray that in the book. And on the 13th of July, just to mention, there is another YA fantasy coming out. We have a new fantasy saga coming at you, and that is The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. And all I know is that it's going to have vengeance, survival, and sacrifice, which is something that we mostly get in fantasy saga. So if you're a fan of fantasy and are looking for something new to start, this might be for you. Okay, so these were all the books that I wanted to mention that are coming out on July 2019. Let me know what you think about these books. If you've already read an arc of any of them, let me know your thoughts on the book down below. And also, you guys, if you know of any other books that are coming in July that you think I might like, let me also know in the comments down below. And please, to show support, give the video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more coffee times with me. Please also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram because I do love to interact with you daily there in these other social channels. All the links for that are down below in the description, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!